The top 3 bicep exercises. I've had this one asked to me quite a bit now, so here is the video, which are my top 3 tips to building big, meaty, peaky biceps. Well, first of all, let me stop myself there. When I say peaky, you know what I'm talking about, the peak. There is no way of building a peak on your bicep. Yes, you heard it here, guys. Not just from me, you will hear it from every pro out there. Anyone who knows anything about genetics, they will tell you that your genetic structure is what you're born with. There is no way of changing that. I don't care who you are. Just to give you an example, if you're a bodybuilding fan and you follow bodybuilding from the early days, you might have seen Larry Scott with big peaky biceps, Arnold Schwarzenegger with big peaky biceps, Ronnie Coleman with big peaky biceps, and then you have guys like Kevin Levrone. Kevin Levrone had massive arms, 24-inch arms, but they never peaked. They were more thick than the peak. Mine are very similar. My arms are very thick and round, but they do not have a massive bicep peak. I've got many friends of mine that when they flex the bicep, it's just a massive mountain, and they haven't got a very thick bicep. That's just the way their genetics are. And people are like, how have you got such a peaky bicep? What do you train? Jack shit. They don't do anything different. They could do underhand pull-ups and just get the peak. Someone like me could do underhand pull-ups and just get thickness. Unfortunately, that is just the way bicep genetics work. The way you'll look is structural, is all down to God or your mum and dad, whoever you want to believe it to be. So let's move on now. What is my top 3 exercises to grow the bicep? And in at number 1 is a very, very easy one. It is the barbell curl, just a standard standing barbell curl. There's 2 types of bars in the gym that you're going to be able to use. The first bar is just the standard barbell curl, the one you use for the bench press. Load some weight on it and just curl it. Very easy technique. If you want to, by the way, know any techniques, go into my playlist. You go to the section of exercise library. You're going to see the barbell curl in there. Very basic meat and potatoes of the bicep exercise. This is it, straight bar curls. And the reason for this, as you will find a little pattern with most of my exercises, like when I say the best exercise, it is generally always the exercise that you can use the most weight with. So when it comes to barbell curls, you can really slam on the weight and curl those. You can cheat curls, you can roll back a little bit, you can rock back and forwards. However you want to do it, you can use the most weight with the barbell curl. Now there's other bars that are already fixed inside the gym. They tend not to move around as much, if you know what I mean. When you get a bar that's fixed and you try to turn it, curl it, it feels really weird in the wrist. It almost hurts the wrist. You'll know what I mean if you've used one that spins and one that's fixed. You'll know the difference. I don't like those personally because they seem to aggravate my wrists more. I like to just yank the weight up a little bit, especially when it comes to biceps. Such a small muscle group. Go for it. Load the weight up and go as heavy as possible. So that is exercise number 1. Exercise number 2 is for the brachialis, which is the outer head of the bicep, if you want to call it that. More of like, if you were to look from the front, what would give you the thickness? What would give you that thick, how can I say? Imagine you look at a silhouette. If you're looking at a silhouette from the front, the bicep obviously isn't going to peak because you're not doing this. You're doing like just looking from the front. So when you've got the shoulders, you've got the shoulder development, and the bit that sticks out here, obviously it's your tricep, but from the side, it's your brachialis. Bicep brachialis, that's the technical name for that muscle. I'm sure there's other things as well. I don't give a shit. So the bicep brachialis, number 1 thing that I found for that, and that is hammer curls. How to do the hammer curls. My way of doing it, straight down to the side and straight up in a hammer. There's a variation that I see I don't like. I don't agree with the variation, but you can equally do this as well, and that's bringing it to the front of your body. I don't like it. I just feel like you can't use too much weight and your shoulders are involved a little bit too much. So for me, as you can see the pattern, it's all about using maximum weight. And I use maximum weight is standing from the side and curling up and down in the motion of a hammer. That is the number 2 exercise to grow massive biceps. And number 3 is more of an isolation in the sense where, they're all isolated, only small muscle groups, but It's an isolation in the sense where you're going to literally isolate one at a time just for contraction, not to build a peak. This does not build a peak. I will repeat, does not build a peak. Get on a preacher bench, dumbbells, and we're going like this, one arm at a time. Don't go all the way down. There's videos on there with why I explain why you should never extend fully at the bottom. It's way too dangerous. The bicep tendon's only a very small tendon. It's a very weak tendon. Biceps are very prone to tear when you're doing deadlifts, when you're doing bench presses. Yes, you heard it. You can tear your bicep doing bench press. I've seen it multiple times. Most of the time people think they tore their pec, when in actual fact it was just the bicep that they tore and it inserts all the way inside the pec. I ain't going to get too sciencey, but just believe me when I say the bicep is attached to the shoulder. So do not be messing about with ranges of motion on your bicep, especially when you're doing single arm preacher curls. So there you have it. They are my top 3 exercises to build biceps, and I will go over it again. Where people say, how do you build more thickness, or how do you build more peak, or how do you build more definition, or I need a vein, I want my veins to stick out, or I want my biceps to split. You are born with that. Now, if you want to have splitting biceps, or if you want to have very veiny biceps, ones that are going to look like they're really peaking, the best thing you can do is just lose the fat around it. Simple as. Do a competition diet, get really, really lean, shredded, single digit body fats, and then, you know, your bicep might look different. You might not look like you think it's gonna look. I know a lot of guys measure their arms, and I just like cringe when I see them measure their arms, because I think you're just measuring fat on top of your muscle. That's all you're doing. Measurements don't work for me. Unless you're a competitive bodybuilder, there is no need to measure your arms. My arms are very, very lean. You'll be very surprised that yes, my arms have been as big as 19 inches in the off season when I was kind of like trying to power lift and grow. They didn't look the biggest. The biggest my arms looked were when I was on stage, and they were actually 17 inches. They were a bit in the high end of 17, but they were 17 inches. They never stretched the tape on 18. And when I was that lean, people used to look at my arms and think, yo, your arms have gone massive. They've grown. In a hoodie and in a t-shirt, if you know me personally, or if you can see through the video, you can't really tell I've even got any biceps, but they're 18 inch on the cold, you know. But look, I don't measure this shit anymore. The point I'm trying to say is, if you want your arms to look bigger, you want them to look more, you want them to look more peaky, you want them to look more harder, lose the fat. They're going to look so much better. Nobody wants to walk around with fat arms, and they just don't look that attractive to me, to be honest with you. I mean, I'm not looking at guys' arms to be attractive, but when you've got a lean set of arms, it really is a showpiece. Anywhere in the world you go, you take your jacket off, you've got some biceps. And I know you guys do it as well, because I do it myself. When I'm out anywhere, I'm in a restaurant, I'm anywhere in the world, I'm at the airport, you know, I'm out and about, and I see somebody and I think, yo, look at that guy's arms. He's got a forearm vein sticking out, he's got a bicep vein sticking out. You're going to be checking him out. You know, you're going to be thinking, you know, that guy's got a serious physique. So having a good set of arms is very, very important. If you were to fight somebody, for example, let's say you're going downtown, you would fight someone, you think, you know what, the guy's got some big set of arms. I'm going to think twice about fighting this guy. Having big legs, no one's ever scared from anyone having big legs. People are like, oh, you got big legs, oh, better stay away from you. You know, you got big calves, oh shit, I better stay. No, bro. Arms, it's all about the arms. Get a good set of arms. These are my top 3 exercises for bicep. Hopefully this video gave you some value. Please subscribe, comment down below your top bicep exercises, and like the video.